It's Ken Harbaugh with the MeidasTouch Network. The book banning extremists are at it again. The latest example happened on, get this, Mother's Day, when a group of bullies shut down a Mother's Day event at an elementary school library in Tennessee because the librarian wanted to include books that made all of the kids, like, for example, those without moms, feel welcome. We shouldn't be surprised at the cruelty of bullies from groups like Moms for Liberty. For them, it's not about the kids, it's about power. So I'm going to share two clips about how to stand up to them. The first is of a bunch of parents from that Tennessee elementary school calling out the book banners and holding their school board accountable. Then I'm going to share a few thoughts on what we can do to fight back. I had the chance to interview Stacey Abrams about this on the Burn the Boats podcast, and trust me, she doesn't disappoint. Here's the first clip of those parents at that school board meeting, courtesy of the Tennessee Holler, a fantastic investigative news outlet that I've talked about before.
The books that were to be shared have been accessible at Alpine Crest Elementary for nearly a decade and are logged and online. These books are well known for tackling blended families, adopted families, foster families, or any family that doesn't fit perfectly into a box. All students, families, and educators deserve to be respected and feel valued.
I'm extremely disappointed in the way an inclusive Mother's Day lesson was canceled and my kid's librarian has been vilified. I knew there would be pushback from a few loud bullies, but I'm enraged that the administration sided with them. A majority of families have been denied an important lesson in our increasingly diversified world, and a platform was given to a group of fear-mongering extremists. This group claims that a story about a bear is pushing trans ideology, and a story about a girl feeling left out during Mother's Day is pushing a homosexual agenda. They say this is sexualization of children when they're the only ones that brought sex into it. The only agenda I'm seeing play out is that of Moms for Liberty, a well-funded and connected political group that preys on vulnerable people with manufactured outrage in the guise of protecting children. I am here right now to protect my children from them. I'd have to strongly disagree that this group cares about the safety of all kids. The motivation behind the cancellation of a compassionate literacy lesson sends a message to minorities and LGBTQ families that their existence is unacceptable. By shielding your kids from love that looks different than yours, you're turning them into bullies and crippling them from living successfully in a diverse world.
I've never seen them shoveling mulch, putting up swing sets, painting door frames. We're here in the trenches. We're here with these children. This is 2023. I'm a Christian man married to a woman, but I think everyone should be represented fairly. If you want to keep your kids in a closet and just shelter them from everything, homeschool them. Send them to Christian school. This is a public schools for everyone. Everyone. I've dealt with that woman. She loves these kids.
Instead of backing Mrs. Mickey up, you let the bullies win. When you let the bullies win, they're going to keep bullying. I understand that these adult bullies have intimidated and incited an ungodly amount of hate in our community, but you, HCS leadership and admin, must show them that you have a zero tolerance policy for bullying. When you have a board policy that states you expect all students to treat each other with civility and respect, and then you let grown adults bully one of your educators, and you let them interrupt the education of our students, you're teaching the community that you don't actually mean what you say. What about my rights? Why wasn't my voice heard before you decided to cancel this lesson? I'll finish with this. My child repeats this pledge at school every day. I'm respectful, I'm responsible, I'm caring, I'm ready to learn, I have tiger pride. You know what other lesson Alpine Crest students learn? Don't be a bystander, be an upstander, and support and protect your peers against bullying. I think HCS leadership and admin would benefit from learning that lesson. Let's hope you don't decide to cancel that one too.
This school board meeting is such a great example of parents pushing back against the bullies in their midst. Stacey Abrams, who has long been an inspiration to me, had this to say about the power of books to change young people's lives for the better and what the rest of us can do to ensure they have that access. Breathe some life into your own backyard with FastGrowingTrees.com this spring. From shade to fresh fruit to privacy to natural beauty, let FastGrowingTrees.com help you plant your dream garden with their expert advice and fast, reliable shipping. FastGrowingTrees.com's plant experts curate thousands of easy-to-grow plant, shrub, and tree varieties for your unique climate. Meyer lemons to evergreens and everything in between. Happy plants, happy home, right? But sometimes it's hard to know which plants will do best. No problem, because with FastGrowingTrees.com, you get customized recommendations based on your specific needs. Plus, their plant experts are always available to help keep your plants growing healthy through the season and beyond. No more waiting in long lines and hauling heavy plants around. With fastgrowingtrees.com, you order online, and your plants arrive at your door in just a few days. I love Fast Growing Trees because I found the perfect Cleveland pear tree I was looking for at a great price, and you will too. And with Fast Growing Trees' 30-day Alive and Thrive guarantee, you know everything will look great, fresh out of the box. Join over 1.5 million happy Fast Growing Trees customers. Go to fastgrowingtrees.com/boats now to get 15% off your entire order. Get 15% off your order at fastgrowingtrees.com/boats. Books were such an important part of your childhood and obviously your continuing contribution today. When you look at these growing efforts to ban books, to limit what young people can read, do you perceive it as a real phase shift, an existential threat, or is it the kind of thing that's going to burn out once the silliness of groups like Moms for Liberty are exposed? How worried should we be?
I would say it's both existential, but it's also temporary. We have faced this crisis before, and we have righted ourselves before, but each time we go through it, we let it go a little further than it should. And what worries me is how far we will let it go this time. It is a natural part of the rise of authoritarianism and the resistance to demographic or social and cultural change to try to eliminate the stories of that change as a way to protect who you are and to protect the now, or worse, to try to protect the then. My belief is that it will always happen in a society that is changing, that people are going to try to hold on to their truth by eliminating every other truth. We have to be smarter than that. We have to be more resilient than that, and we have to be more assertive than that. I do not support book banning. My mother was a college librarian, so she was a librarian at a college. She would let us read what we could reach, but she would always help us contextualize it. She would make sure we understood it. And she never said, and neither of my parents, they never said, don't learn something. They tried to make sure what we learned we could understand. And if it wasn't appropriate for our age, they tried to find a way for us to learn it in a moment that was accessible for us. The minute we tell children knowledge is not a native good, we are damning ourselves. And that's the existential crisis. When we tell children that the way to confront challenge is to close your eyes, cover your ears, and hum along, hoping you can drown out the noise of difference, we are undermining the very strength that made us who we are. And we are cutting ourselves off from the catalyst that makes us better in the next generation.
Libraries used to be, and most of the country, they still are, the opportunity for children to do that. If they had nothing else in their community, they had the school library or they had the county library. And I'm lucky in Ohio in that we still invest heavily in our library system. But if you needed your imagination to run wild, if you needed an outlet, the library was always there. And it's no coincidence that that is now the target of the reactionary right. I am wondering, when you talk about we have to fight back, how do we do it outside of our own communities where we have power to make sure that kids in those far-flung communities where a minority of adults think that they can shut down with the heckler's veto that access to imagination and other worlds, how do we fight back in places like that? I mean, there are states now that are totally defunding libraries.
Yeah. One, we cannot abandon our responsibility to speak up and to show up in the state legislatures, to show up in the county commission offices, to show up at the school board meetings and demand access. Even if your children are safe and protected, you live near a community where this is under threat. I promise you, no matter where you are. And so show up, because we are all our children's keeper. Number two, we have to take advantage of programs that are out there that want to get books into the hands of kids. So look for a program in your community, in your state, donate to that program, volunteer if you can. But more than anything, we just have to keep pushing back. When you see something, I mean, the trope is if you see something, say something. Well, if you see something, do something. And it is not just about a child's ability to read a book that may or may not be questionable. It is about a child's right to learn and grow. And we are the guardians of that responsibility. We are the protectors of their access. In addition to the work I do as a fiction writer, I write children's books. And I celebrate books. I celebrate reading because that is why I am where I am. And I want every child to have the same opportunity.
Hey, Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.